Hi there, my name is Kristen Verderami. I'm a teacher here at Sun and Moon, and today I will be teaching you Ardha Chandrasana pose. Ardha Chandrasana is one of my all-time favorite poses. As you'll see, it's strengthening, it's stretching, it's opening, it's energetic. It's just a super awesome pose, and I'm excited to be able to teach it to you today. So Ardha Chandrasana, the name means half moon pose. Ardha is Sanskrit for half. Chandra is Sanskrit for moon, and by moon we really mean a beautiful, glowing, glittering, luminescent body. And as you probably are well aware, the moon is known to be nurturing and soothing compared to the heat and energy of the sun. Sun and Moon Yoga Studio, here we go, how appropriate, right? And the last part of the name, asana, refers to the posture, right? Postures that we do in yoga, asanas. So put it all together, Ardha Chandrasana means half moon pose. Now the pose I'm going to be teaching you today is not the same pose as some other traditions of yoga consider half moon pose. For example, in the 17th century, the pose that many of you know as tree was called Ardha Chandrasana, half moon pose. In the 70s, a pose very similar to pigeon that you probably know well was also called half moon pose. And in the Bikram tradition, the hot yoga that people practice yet today, one of the side stretch poses is actually called half moon pose or Ardha Chandrasana also. But the reason we call what I'm going to teach you today half moon pose is because that's how it was coined by the foremost yoga teacher, BKS Iyengar, in his 1966 book, Light on Yoga. So we are following what Iyengar described as half moon pose in today's lesson. So what are the benefits of this pose and why do I love it so much? Well, there's a lot of physical benefits to the pose. As you're going to see, we're going to be working a lot of parts of our body. We're going to be standing on one leg, so we're going to be stretching and utilizing the hamstrings, the glutes, and one of the largest muscles in our calf, called that if I pronounce it right, the gastrocnemius muscle, which is the outer muscle of the calf, as compared to the soleus muscle, which is underneath that muscle. We're also going to be utilizing the core, as well as the arms as we're stretching up and opening. So we're using a lot of muscles in this pose, stretching some of them and really strengthening some of them at the same time. Also, the pose is very much an opening pose, as you will see, and that's one of the parts that I really do love the most about it. We'll be opening our neck and shoulders and chest. We'll be opening up our hips and really stretching nice and wide open. And that's a really fun, really comforting feeling. And it can give you a lot of energy as well. And that leads to some of the non-physical benefits. When you really do focus in a yoga pose like you will in this one, especially when you use your breathing along with it, really helps you to focus your mind and everything right in the present, right? So that you're not focused on the stressors of the day, you're not focused on other things. You're really just focusing on your mind, your body, and your breath, and that is yoga. And this pose really helps you to do that. So it's a pose known for relieving fatigue and relieving stress and giving you that energetic feeling you get from having such a wide open pose. So let's learn Ardha Chandrasana. So come on up to your mat. And start by standing, facing the short end of your mat. Grab a block in your hand. And if you don't have a block in your house or wherever you are, then maybe a big book or something you can lean on. I've even done it leaning on a chair or leaning on a wall somewhere. Anything you can kind of lean on, even on your couch, would probably work, to be honest. But I'm going to show it with a block today, but again, you can use a lot of different things to prop yourself up on. So your foot would go facing the end of the mat. Now, depending on your skeletal structure as we get into this pose, most people do the pose with their foot straight facing the end of the mat, right? Perpendicular to the end and parallel to the sides of the mat. My skeleton structure is such that I tilt my toes in just a tiny bit, but experiment here and see what might work for you. So one foot out in front, whichever foot you like. I'll start today with my right foot. Go ahead and start putting the weight on that right foot. And the block is in your right hand. You bring the block down to the ground And with this block, in this pose, you can use the block at whatever level you want. So again, experiment and see what works for you. Some people like the block up high, some people like it low, some people like it really low. Some people don't use any block at all, they put their hands right in the ground. But if you're just starting out in the pose, probably recommend the highest part of the block. And again, I'm going to walk through beginner and kind of intermediate and advanced portions of the pose, so you should be able to do this pose no matter what. So as you're just starting out, drop the block down. And as you lean forward and drop the block down, your back foot automatically pops up, right? Kind of just automatically like a teeter-totter, just pops up and back. Once your foot pops up and back, go ahead and raise that back foot and see if you can get it parallel to the ground. Now, this is a great place to stop if this is your first time doing Ardha Chandrasana. Focus on strengthening that leg. Focus on the balance. Focus on stillness. Use your breath, breathing in, exhaling, and trying to hold the stillness in the pose. And if you want to stop here, which is perfectly fine, you can take your arm, maybe wrap it around yourself for a bind, and keep your gaze facing straight down to the ground. Now, if you're comfortable here and you want to challenge yourself a little bit more, then again, if you want to challenge yourself just a little bit more here, go ahead and open those hips up as if you're leaning against a wall. In fact, one great way to practice this is to do it up against a wall so that the plane of your body is flat against the wall. And again, you want to have your leg out behind you, and if you can get it parallel to the ground, that's a great next step here. Go ahead and flex your foot, point your toes, whichever way you like. And once you're here, again, you can stop here if this is enough for you and you feel this is challenging enough. If you're just starting the pose, this might be a good place to stop the first couple times you do it. If you want, again, wrap your arm around yourself for a bind here, you certainly can do that. And then use your breath, breathing in and out to get that stillness in the pose. Now, one thing to think about when you're in the pose is that your arm in the front is really just meant to be for balance. You're not really supposed to be putting any weight on that front hand. All the weight's supposed to be on this leg. And as we talked about, and as I'm sure you're already feeling, you're working your hamstrings, you're working that outer muscle of your calf, you're working your glutes, and you're working your core. And so what I'd like you to think about next time I go down into this, and maybe go up a little higher this time, really focus on opening that hip, okay? If you're going to be flat against a wall, which is kind of our goal, to be a flat plane against a wall, again, if you practice against the wall, you'll know for sure. But either way, you need to really focus on opening that hip. So let's try it again. Again, starting out with a block in your hand. Again, whatever level you want the block to be, experiment and see what works good for you. And drop that block down. It shouldn't be in line with your foot. It should be a little bit outside your foot. And again, your back foot pops up. If you want to raise your foot up, try and see if you can get it parallel to the ground, this is a great place to stop. If this is your first time, as I said. If you want to keep going, you open that hip, as I just said, so that you're parallel in one plane, if you keep your balance, all against the front of your body. Now, this is a good place to stop too, but if you want to go further, raise your hand up to the ceiling. Now you can see what I mean, an open pose, right? Everything is open here. Your arms are open, your shoulders are open. Really reach that hand up and even kind of tilt that shoulder a little bit back to open that chest even more. Push on that arm on the bottom to really open that chest. Again, the front arm is really for balance. Shouldn't be needing to hold it there to hold yourself up. And if you want to keep going, use your gaze to follow all the way up to your hand. Ardha Chandrasana. As you can feel, you're using your leg big time. You're balancing, you're focusing on your balancing. And again, take nice deep breaths. And try to hold the pose. And find the stillness. Easier said than done, right? Exhale and bring that leg down. Turn your back straight to the end of your mat. And go ahead and stand up and just kind of stretch out. Let those legs relax. And we're going to do the other side. All right, now I have the block in my left hand, and then we're going to put the weight on our left foot. So again, putting the weight, shifting the weight to that left foot, dropping that block down. Again, not in line with my foot, but a little bit further out to the side, a little bit diagonal there. Foot pops up automatically. You can stop here, wrapping your arm around for a bind and gaze focusing at the mat. Or you can turn your gaze out, start turning to the side so that you're not looking at the bottom, which challenges your balance. Raise that foot parallel to the ground. Again, flexing your foot, pointing your toes, whichever way you'd like to do. And if you want to raise that arm up to the ceiling, go for it. Again, opening the shoulders, opening the hips so that you're really straight plane on that front of the body. And then if you want to go the rest of the way, you can look up to that hand. Ardha Chandrasana. Focus on opening that shoulder, opening the chest. Hips are opening, foot is flexed, so all of your body is working here. Arm is strong, hands nice and spread at the top. We never have lazy yoga hands. We always have active yoga hands. So spread those fingers. Stretch, stretch, stretch. Open, open, open. And breathe. Nice deep breaths. Trying to find the stillness in the pose. And when you're ready, on an exhale, bring that arm down, bring your foot down, circle more toward the front, and push yourself up. Shake your legs out. So that is Ardha Chandrasana. Now we'll finish tonight with a mudra, the Chandra mudra. Take your hands and place your palms together, facing up, and bring your thumbs together. It's the shape of the moon here, right? This is the Chandra mudra. As I said, moon is meant to be soothing, it's meant to be nurturing, it's meant to be calming. Sounds a little strange after such an energetic pose, I know. But by doing that pose, it really does make you focus your mind, your body, and your breath all together, which brings you the stillness, which brings you the calmness of the moon. I hope you love Ardha Chandrasana as much as I do. It was super fun to teach it to you. Namaste.